Hi guys, it's Alexis Diorio, also known as the Ghoul Girl. I'm coming with you with another video, and I'm really excited for this one. If you follow my blog, you'll see that I write a lot about a psychology technique called mindfulness, and I feel like it's very vital for a lot of people's spirituality. Mindfulness is when you try to bring yourself back into the present by, what you would do is making sure that you're actually paying attention to little details. Making sure you're actually tasting your food, being very slow when you eat and actually tasting it. It would also be making sure you're feeling like the texture of clothes, the texture of the object you're holding. I know a lot of people, what they do is they take their crystals and they make sure they feel every crevice. They try to feel the energy that it's like radiating. A lot of people will also wear no shoes, no socks, and feel like the dirt underneath them, feel the leaves, the grass. What mindfulness does is really help with things like anxiety and depression, because it gives you something else to focus on and something else to pay attention to. One of the reasons why I feel it's very important to practice mindfulness is because, a lot of the time we get caught up with things that are really unimportant and really, blocks us from paying attention to what is really important and being able to focus on what we're actually trying to achieve. I did a seminar a couple months back in my hometown where I went over, the importance of being authentic, and one of the main things that I point out is mindfulness is very important when it comes to learning how to be authentic, because it really helps you pay attention to what is going around you and what you're actually doing. It really promotes self-awareness and understanding what's really going on inside of you. I once stated, and it's probably one of my favorite quotes, I'm not going to quote it exactly because right now I can't remember it exactly, but being mindful of what's happening in your presence helps you forget about your past, which is very important, because when you're dwelling on the past a lot, you're unable to really be present. And then sometimes it helps you from going too far in the future, because what happens when you're too far in the future, you can't really, you're not really in reality of what's happening to you presently, and you can't really, you're acting on emotions that aren't really there yet, or you're focused on emotions that have already happened. So what I view as important is, being here all the time and being self-aware of what your actions and words are actually going to produce. A lot of people say when your depression stems from being too far into the past, and anxiety happens from being too far in the future. Now, this does not mean if you are, diagnosed with clinical anxiety and clinical depression. Those are two different things. So we are talking about, the feeling of sadness and the feeling of anxiety, not the mental illness, anxiety, and depression. Though I have found, I haven't really opened up a lot about this, but I am bipolar and I have general anxiety disorder. And I do find that mindfulness does help reduce the symptoms of my mental illness. Now, this will not heal your mental illness, but I'm just saying that mindfulness is very important. I actually have a therapist where we practice this on a regular basis, and we talk about what to do to help be mindful. A lot of the issues that people stop using mindfulness is because they feel like it's not working, or that they can't do it all the time. The thing about mindfulness is it's kind of teaching your brain, so it's not going to work right away. Not that it's not going to work right away, it will work away, but it's very hard to start the discipline of being mindful all the time, because your brain's not quite used to it yet, and it's not quite, the skill isn't developed yet. my favorite ways to practice mindfulness, I already stated a couple, and that is having an item near you at all times where you can hold it and really feel what's going on with it. It's also really great to be slow with eating your food. If you ever hang out with me in real life, if I have the chance, I'm probably not going to be wearing shoes, because I like being able to stop and feel wherever I am, if I'm out of my yard, the grass, the dirt, the gravel, and in my house, carpet, or the difference between my tile. A couple other ways to practice mindfulness also happens to be trying to be, aware of, the temperature around you. That's also really important. Now, once you start practicing and trying to utilize a tool by feeling textures of stuff, feeling the temperature of certain things, the taste of food, and how it's different, you're able to actually use mindfulness when it comes to your actual emotions. Now, your actual emotions are very important to use mindfulness, because when you become mindful of the type of language you're using or the reaction people have to your language, you're able to better adjust it to, connect better with people. You're able to be aware of where your emotions actually stem from, and you'll be able to tailor your language to where, it produces more positive outcomes. I think this skill is very important when it comes to trying to have better communication with other people, because mindfulness is pretty much a way to better your self-awareness. It's helpful. Oh, I'm sorry, I have to readjust my shirt. It's very helpful when it comes to wanting to learn more about yourself and learning how you connect and how people perceive you. Now, in a lot of videos about spirituality or about, self-confidence and stuff, we try to move away from, being worried about how people, view you, but it is very important to, not do as little harm to people, or not offend people less, but being mindful about others' feelings, because when you're on a spiritual journey, most of the time it's to learn how to communicate and connect with the universe around you, and other people's lives are also part of that, reducing damage and reducing issues put onto other people. It also helps you to learn, where your insecurities, where your doubts come from. Because a lot of times, mindfulness will help you to stop projecting your issues on other people, and you can actually tackle it there and then. I think when I first started practicing mindfulness, I kind of thought it was not real, kind of maybe a joke or something, but it's really not. I have seen it work for me. I mean, after so many years of trying to recover from my issues, I'm a much happier and pleasant person. I'm able to connect, and I'm also more willing to admit when I'm wrong. And also, the value of being right all the time has been reduced by a great amount. So I think it's very important to practice this. I hope this video helps you. I really hope everyone's having a really, really good day. I'm sorry I'm talking lower. I'm trying to get my son to take a nap. So if you heard a baby crying a little bit in the background, that is in fact my son. I mean, I have a child. Sometimes he cries, and that's just how it is. I really hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you have any more questions about mindfulness, more in-depth topics about how to really utilize it, other techniques to practice it, just comment below. Subscribe for more content, and I hope you have a really, really good day.